Welcome. This is Caitlin. I'm Grass-Fed Girl, and I am so happy today. We have Serena Music. She is from the Carnivore Revolution. She has her own podcast channel, YouTube, and she's a carnivore, longtime carnivore expert. So welcome, Serena. I'm so glad you're here with us today.
Thank you so much. I really enjoy watching your stuff. I think that it's amazing, and I'm just so grateful that you invited me today.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Yeah, I've heard about you and your beef tallow, and um, definitely a fan of your channel too. So make sure and follow Serena and share this video with a friend who might benefit from getting this great carnivore information, that maybe they're at a, in a standstill with their health and they want to move it to the next level. So tell us, how did you get into this crazy carnivore diet, Serena?
Well, it's interesting. I actually started the carnivore diet before I knew what it was. So I didn't have like crazy autoimmune issues or anything like that. I don't have like this huge story of physical healing. What I have is a story of mental and emotional healing. I, like you, had a bad relationship with food starting at a young age. I bought my first diet pills when I was 12 years old. My mom was always on a diet. My sister was anorexic and bulimic, almost died multiple times. I mean, it was very rough for me in the beginning there surrounding food. So I remember being in high school, and that's when all of those Entenmann's cakes were around, like the sugar-free Entenmann's cakes. Do you remember? Like that meant I could eat the whole thing, right? So I wouldn't eat all day, and I would save my lunch money. Or I would, like, we had the regular lunchroom at our high school, but we also had like a concession stand, and you could go and get ice cream sandwiches and soda or soft pretzels and things like that. So most of the time that was what I chose. And I would get, soft pretzel and a diet soda or something, or I would save my money. And after school, we would stop at the store and I would buy one of those Entenmann's, sugar-free cakes. And then I would eat the whole thing because it was sugar-free. And oh, no, I think it was fat-free, not sugar-free.
Yeah,
That was when
that's
they
what I
had
was
all those.
thinking, the snack
Yeah,
wells and that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
right. Yeah, they had all those fat-free things. Yeah, so I would eat an entire box of Snackwell's cookies, or I would eat an entire cake. Yeah, so it wasn't sugar-free, it was fat-free. And like now I have like bad dreams when I picture what that frosting looks like. You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine eating something like that now. But anyway, so I had this unhealthy relationship with food from at a very young age. And that kind of went on into my adulthood. And I would either not eat or I would binge, and then I would restrict, kind of as a punishment for myself. I was always on a diet. Every single day I was on a diet unless I was binging. So it was either super restrictive or I was binging on things. And it was just a really hard way to live. I have 4 children. And I continued, I was actually bulimic for about 20 years, a long time ago. And even once that stopped, I continued to binge. And then instead of purging, I would just restrict myself by doing a 5-day water fast or a 14-day juice fast, which I thought was really healthy. I thought I was being really healthy when I did the juice fast, but it was always a punishment for something, for gaining weight, or for eating unhealthily. That was always my punishment for that. So people in my life got burned out on my diets, right? There was always something new. I was always trying something else, whether it was Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig or the cabbage soup diet or a juice fast. And like there was always something with me, always something going on. And so I had the sickness and was left with a weird issue that left things tasting and smelling rotten. The way I described it when it first hit was like a rotten skunk carcass somebody had lit on fire. And many, many things tasted and smelled that way. For months. It actually ended up lasting about 3 years, almost 3 years, really. But it had started to get better. So I would say it was really bad in the beginning and for the first 6 months. And there were days where I would end up back in bed. Like I would take my girls to the skating rink. We homeschool. And so they would do like a homeschool day. And we would go to the roller skating rink. And every time they dropped a new batch of fries, I would know. And I would have to like cover my face with a jacket or put some essential oils under my nose because it would make me nauseous. There were just certain things: garlic, onion, peanut butter, coffee, chocolate, lots of different meats, eggs. My husband came home one day from work and found me in the camper crying because one of our daughters was making eggs and I couldn't be in the house. It was so bad. And all I wanted was sweets. It was like I wanted to medicate myself with sweets, but also that was the only thing that tasted and smelled normal. So I was gorging myself all the time. And it was my 48th birthday. And my girls have a gluten-free baking business. And so they said, we'll make you your favorite cupcakes. And I was like, double the batch. Like, I want a lot of cupcakes. Like, we're right in the middle of dealing with this distorted taste and smell. It's called parosmia. It actually happens to chemotherapy patients too, but it was just left over from the sickness. And it was horrible. It was so bad. I was depressed. I was crying every day. And so my girls made me these cupcakes, and I ate 20 cupcakes in 36 hours. My birthday was on a Saturday. They made the cupcakes on Saturday, and by Sunday night, they were gone. I mean, I ate all of them, with the exception of 4 that other people ate. And so Monday morning, I woke up, and my husband and I went running, and I came back and I said to myself, okay, I got to stop. This has to stop, right? Like, I can't just keep eating sugar. So if I can't eat sugar, and fruits and vegetables taste and smell rotten, which they did, all of them taste and smelled rotten. It was horrible. I can't eat eggs. I knew at that point from experimenting for the last 3 months that I could eat a New York strip fresh off the grill and a burger fresh off the grill. Nothing. I couldn't eat anything else that didn't smell or taste horrible. And I couldn't reheat those either. They had to be fresh, and it had to be grilled. And so that was just like through experiments. Like, I just learned this is what I can eat, and this was what doesn't make me feel nauseous. And so after we went running that Monday morning, I was laying out in the sun on our back porch thinking about it. And I was like, okay, so I am just going to eat the hamburger and the New York strip until this gets better, and I'll do some fasting. Like, something's got to fix this. And I had actually, a couple of weeks before that, completed a 5-day water fast that did fix it. My taste and smell went back to normal, but within 48 hours, it was back. So I was like, okay, so if something else can be healing, then I'll try that. And I got to sustain myself. I got to eat, and I don't want to eat sugar. So this is what I'll eat. And then it was like that day I started doing research. So like, I had a hamburger patty, and then I started doing research, and I found you, and I found Kelly Hogan, and of course, Sean Baker on the Joe Rogan podcast. And so I found all these people, Laura Spath, and I just started watching things, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a thing. There are other people that just eat like hamburger, like steak. And I was like shocked. I had no idea. And so I just paid attention, and I started listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos, and just absorbed myself into what I was going to do. And so I had already made the decision before I started learning about it. I had no idea it was called the carnivore diet. I had no idea what it meant. And it turns out about 5 years previous to that, I actually had done it for about 8 months without realizing it. A doctor had put me on a low carb diet. And I thought, well, if low carbs is good, then zero carbs has to be better, because I'm an all or nothing kind of person. And so that's what I did. And I probably got some healing from it, but not in the way I got healing now. Like, I probably was healing then, but I was doing it for a different reason and didn't know that, like what it could do. And I did feel really good, but I didn't know what the carnivore diet could do. And he didn't call it that, because he just wanted me to do low carb. And so anyway, so that week I made my decision that that's what I was going to do. I was already eating that way, for a couple of days. And I just started to feel better and better, and do more and more research. And it was about at this 6-month point, I hadn't lost any weight. I actually had gained weight because I wasn't eating enough, and I was fasting too much. And there are people who will say that can't happen, but it absolutely can happen, because there were days where I ate more. Not a lot more, but more. And my body would just like hold on to everything. I was like in extreme crisis mode, because I was fasting so much, and then not eating enough on my eating days. My metabolism was shutting down. I just was not doing it in a healthy way, but I did feel pretty good. And it was about the 6-month point.
You think you were kind of like, oh, well, if a little fasting is good, then more fasting is better?
That is exactly right. If a 24-hour fast is good, then 36 hours must be better. And if 36 hours is good, then 72 hours must be better. So if fasting 1 day a week is really good, then I'll fast 3 days a week. So I was fasting like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, eating Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was literally eating, and I know this for a fact because there were so few things I could eat, because people will say, surely that's not all you were eating. It is, because I couldn't eat anything else. I was literally eating 2 hamburger patties with some butter on them, like Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Sunday, I may have eaten a little bit more. Like, I would eat an extra hamburger patty, or I would have that steak. So I was eating a little bit more at least 1 day a week, but obviously not that much more. I gained 18 pounds in 8 months by not eating enough and fasting too much. And I think my body just had slowed down so much. So when I would eat, my body would just hold on to it instead of letting it go. So it was like half a pound here, a pound there, and then another half a pound, up and down the same 2 pounds until I was up half a pound. And then up and down the same 2 pounds until I was up another pound. And before I knew it, it was 18 pounds. And I was shocked, and I was dismayed, and I was upset. But it was around that time that I heard Katie Kelly talk about the difference between an abstainer and a moderator. And that was when I realized I was better, that my eating disorder was gone, my disordered eating was gone, that I was healthy mentally. And so at that point, you couldn't stop me from being on a carnivore diet. Like when I realized that it wasn't just, that I'm messed up, it was that I felt so good, and when I realized that it wasn't just me, that there was a category for this, that there's a category of people that fit into this, it was just amazing. And so it's been almost 3 years now, and I ended up losing 35 pounds. I gained 18, lost 35. And now I'm up another like 17 pounds, I'm up 17 pounds again. Luckily, I started lower this time, so it's not as bad. But I was under eating again. And when I eat more, I start to lose weight. And so I've been
Wow.
for about the last 3 weeks, I've been trying to intentionally eat more. I've been varying my calories and varying my fat to protein ratio a little bit to try to kind of figure things out. And I do feel a lot better, and I feel leaner than I was. I think the under eating kind of keeps me bloated a little bit. And so I am feeling better too.
Do you just get busy and not think about eating, or okay.
Yeah, I think,
I don't
yeah. And
understand that.
yeah, I think what happens is it's that old mentality of under eating. You know what I mean? Like I'm so used to feeling like I need to eat less that that's just what happens. If I'm not paying attention and I'm not tracking my food, it ends up like if I don't track for a couple of months and then I sit back and I think, wait a minute, what am I eating? And it'll be like, I won't eat breakfast until 11 or 12. And then our kids have basketball or volleyball games in the evenings a lot, or practice. And so I always try to finish eating early before we leave. So 3:30 or 4 o'clock. And then sometimes I've only had like half the calories I need for the day. And I think, well, that's okay. I'll just eat more tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and I do the same thing. And before I know it, I'm back to 800 or 900 calories a day without even meaning to. And then I don't feel as good, but in my head, it's always better to eat less. Even though I know what that does to me, I know where that gets me. But in my head, it's always better to eat less. So I've been being really intentional about it for the last 3 weeks or so. And now I think I've awakened my appetite. I am starving all the time. I have a really hard time not going over on my macros and not going over on my calories. I'm tracking because I feel like I have to. I don't know if I'll continue to track forever, but I know most people come to the carnivore diet or keto diet because you don't have to track. But at the same time, the under eating thing happens a lot to a lot of women. I would say more than half of the time somebody comes to me, 75% of the time, probably, maybe more, especially women, they come to me and say they can't lose weight. They don't understand what's going on. They're barely eating anything. That's what they'll say. I'm hardly eating anything and I can't lose weight. And it's
Well, that's
always because
why.
they're under eating, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that a lot. I have never
Yeah.
encountered it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's no problem for me to eat 2,500, 3,000
Yeah.
calories on carnivore. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's nothing.
Yeah. Well, but that's probably your maintenance calories then if you maintain there. But because I'm trying to get this like 17 pounds off, and I would settle for 12. If I could get 12 of it off, I'd be pretty happy. That's
Yeah.
5 pounds. I think when I hit my goal and then I gained back 5 of it just from being kind of complacent, I'd be pretty happy. I could be really happy there if I could just get back there. So I would settle for 12 pounds, and I just can't figure out where that is for me. Some for a little while there at 1,700 calories, I was losing, and then it just kind of stopped. And I can't decide if it's because I'm eating too much or because I'm eating too little. I think it's probably too little. And it's just really hard up here to say, okay, I'm going to eat 2,000 calories for a week. I would love to eat 2,000 calories for a week, right? Like that sounds so good. And I'm doing 75 hard, so I'm burning more calories than typically because I'm doing 2 45-minute workouts a day. So most of the time that ends up being 2 walks, which is about 15,000 steps for me. And I'm also doing weights 4 or 5 times a week. So I'm burning quite a few calories doing that. And then I'm just like, maybe I'm still not eating enough, it's
Yeah.
just hard to figure out. So it's like being a science experiment, on my own, just trying to figure out what I need to eat, how much protein, how much fat. And it's not complicated for everybody. So for people who are watching this, it doesn't have to be complicated. And for most people, you can cut everything else out and just eat lots of meat and have some cheese, and you're going to be happy, you're going to be healthy, and you're going to lose weight. So it's not always like this. I think it's just from years of abuse to my body. And if you're a woman who's done that to your body and been on a diet basically your whole adult life, it might take a little bit of tweaking to figure it out, but it is totally worth it.
And there's a lot of lifestyle stuff like, maybe you're too stressed, you're too busy, and maybe you're not sleeping enough. And,
Yeah.
maybe a lot of people I find, like when I got sick, I had to quit my job, completely. Like
Mm.
in order to get better, I had to change everything about my life. Basically, I changed my job, every single thing. So, I mean, it's not always just food.
Right. Yeah. And I'm going through menopause. I did start bioidentical hormone replacement therapy recently. And so, I'm kind of waiting for those effects. And could that be affecting what's happening to me now? It certainly could. Is that something that I should be taking? I don't know. There's so much information out there, and it's so confusing. It's so stressful. I went for a year back and forth between taking it and not taking it, and then taking it and not taking it because I would get scared. And
Well, I think
so
you have to give it a good run. I mean, how
yes.
I'd say you have to do it for like a year or something to
Yeah.
really tell. My mom takes it, and I mean, she's 75, but like, um, she does have some really good benefits. Like she has like bladder prolapse, and when she takes it, it doesn't happen, like,
Interesting.
so that's a pretty big benefit. She'd have to get a surgery if she stopped taking it, for
Right.
example. I mean,
Yeah.
it does seem, I mean, she has like way less appetite than me. I'm like, can I get that? But no, but no, I don't, I'm not, I think I want to wait a few more years before
Yeah.
I look into it really.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think you have to give it a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And the disordered eating is so prevalent in our culture. I think
Mhm.
it'll take, for all the years we did it, it'll take that many years to undo it.
Yeah. I mean, and if that's the case, I'm going to die still trying to figure it out. I mean, so I hope it doesn't take that long, but it's just amazing how those thoughts subliminally sneak back into what we're doing. Like the fact that I could go from eating 2,000 calories a day to eating 800 or 900 over the span of a month and just not even realize that that's what's happening, because it is so ingrained in us as women to eat less. We should pick at our food. We should eat a salad with grilled chicken. If you're eating steak for every meal, you're going to be, overweight and sick. And, all of these things are drilled into us.
It's not feminine.
To,
It's not feminine to eat steak.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. But those things aren't true. And it just makes us forget what is common sense. And so even though I'm still carnivore, I just start under eating. I just start pulling back little by little, because in my head, today's the day I'm going to lose a pound because I eat less. You know what I mean? And not only does that not usually happen, maybe I'll lose a pound or two at first, but then my body says, uh-oh, there's another famine coming, and just starts holding on to everything. And the cortisol. So some of the other things that I have been doing recently is I have started getting up in the morning, which I always get up pretty early and either go for a walk or a jog or whatever. Like I get out, I get my exercise in the morning a lot of times. But one of the things that I've been doing is getting up at the crack of dawn and taking my dog for a walk. There's a big hill behind our house, and I can walk up the hill. There's a bench at the top, and I can sit on the bench. I take my shoes off. I put my feet in the grass as the sun's coming up. I just listen to an audiobook, and I sit up there for about 10 minutes with my feet in the grass. And then I put my shoes back on, and I come down and put her back in the house, and I'll take a walk around our subdivision, or I'll go to the trail. And then I'm not using my phone at all during this time. I'm just getting the morning sunlight in my eyes. And then I come home and I cold plunge. So I'm not using my phone for like the first 2 hours. And then most days I'm coming home and cold plunging. But before I even take the dog on the walk up the hill, so like literally 15 minutes after I open my eyes, I'm eating something, because I have heard a lot about women and our cortisol, and it raises our stress levels if we don't eat. But we always think fasting, fasting, fasting. I need to fast. That's what I'm supposed to do, is shorten my eating window. I'm supposed to fast today. And I still want to do that. Like I still want to not eat. I still want to fast until lunchtime. And I still want to do, 2 days of fasting every day, like complete and total, 36-hour water fasts. but I'm trying to learn that that doesn't seem to work for me. So I'm eating something, whether it's, and it's usually something really quick and easy. It's either a prime protein shake with water just to get 100
Oh,
calories
the
in with
Equip
some
thing,
protein. Huh?
the Equip
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the equipped ones. Or I'll have a can of sardines or a can of oysters, just something that's really fast. Like I can open it, you know, the dog's always sitting next to me because she knows we're getting ready to go for a walk and she wants to go. And I don't want to cook that early. And so just to eat something. So I call that like early breakfast. So I'll eat just one thing that's 100 calories, 150 calories to get my metabolism going, to remind my body that, you know, I'm not starving it today, that we're going to eat. And then I go up and do that walk or go to the trail. And so like this morning we left the house at, I don't know, about 7 to go to the trail. And I just made myself a quick protein shake and water and just drank it real quick. And I've always been conditioned to think I can't exercise on a
When
full
you're
stomach.
full, that's
Yeah,
not
my stomach
really,
has to
it's not
be
really a
empty.
full stomach.
Right. I know. I always expect it to be sloshing around and it's going to make me sick. And, you know, from years of hearing that, I guess, but it was fine. I actually did a little bit of sprinting this morning, mostly walking, but I did some sprinting and I felt fine. I didn't even notice that I had had that before I left the house. So,
So
you
you're
know, it just
not
lets me
doing
know those.
coffee. You're not doing, you don't do coffee?
Well, I gave up coffee because it was one of those things that tasted and smelled rotten. So I struggled through it for like a year. And then I finally gave it up, not last April, but the one before. And I missed it. I was sad. I cried a lot. It was a very hard 2.5 or 3 weeks. Coffee was my best friend. Like coffee, I looked forward to my morning coffee when I would go to bed at night. Like that's how much I loved to sit with my warm cup of coffee, you know, and just enjoy the morning. I mean, coffee's the best. So I gave it up and switched within like a month. I was looking for replacements, you know, and so I switched to what I call bulletproof water, which is just a couple of tablespoons of butter and some hot water blended in a blender or in the Ninja, so it gets white and frothy, tastes like butter. Add a little bit of extra salt to it. It's become one of my favorite things. It's delicious, it's soothing, and if you're already on a carnivore diet or already fat adapted, it's just pure energy in that cup. So it gives me all the feelings coffee used to give me. Now, I will say in the last 4 or 5 months, I have added decaf back in. Not every day, but a lot of days I have a cup of decaf, either with heavy cream or a couple of egg yolks blended into it, you know, to make it frothy and creamy without using the cream. But I will say that it makes my thumb hurt right here. It makes
Yeah.
this joint hurt. So I wake up in the morning and I decide, do I want my thumb to hurt today? You know, some mornings I decide no. And some mornings I decide yes. And I still love that cup of decaf, but I'll never switch back to caffeinated coffee. I did have caffeinated coffee a few times. A couple of weeks ago, my girls had a basketball tournament and we went to Starbucks, and I get so nervous ordering at a place like Starbucks because I never do that. And there's so many options and I'm scared that I'm going to order the wrong thing. And like my eyes glaze over when I get up there and they say, how can I feel like I have
Maybe you should
no idea
use the you
what I
should
want.
use the app because you
I
can
should, I
you
should.
can write it in there and you don't have to talk to anyone. Oh
Yeah,
my God,
that's
I
right.
get so mad if I get to Starbucks and I've used the app and then they're like, what did you order? And I'm like, oh my God.
That's
Are
why I
you
use the app.
I said, read the app.
Because I didn't want to have to talk to you. And so anyway, so I get nervous and I forgot to order decaf both times.
Oh my
And
God.
I thought it would make me jittery because it had a couple of other times that I had caffeinated by accident. It made me jittery, but it did not. And I was fine, but I'm not planning on adding that addiction back in because I'm free from everything now.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice feeling to not have to have that cup of coffee in the morning before I can function. You know, there's jokes and there's memes, and it's true. I've been there. It's hard to function when you're addicted to caffeine and you aren't having the caffeine. And so I don't want to go back there, but I will drink decaf every now and then if I want it. You know, obviously it doesn't wake me up or, you know, but it still gives me the pep because I love the taste of coffee now that my taste and smell has mostly come back. I'm back to loving the taste of coffee. But I don't ever want to be addicted to it again.
Yeah. I did decaf for like 15 years. But then when I was nursing, I was like, F this. I'm not sleeping at all. So
Yeah.
if you want me to, not sleep all night, then take care of a baby all day. I'm
Right.
drinking real coffee.
That's right.
So that's amazing.
Right.
So I know you talked about a little bit, but what is your typical day of food?
So right now I am tracking my macros and my calories. And so like I said, I'm kind of rotating those days. So I'll use yesterday as a for instance. It ended up not being as high a fat day as I had hoped for. I was hoping for like 85 to 90% fat. It ended up being like 70-30 because Kelly Hogan makes the Egg Life wraps with whipped cream in the middle with a little bit of cinnamon, and I've got a problem. That is one of the best things I've ever had. And so I ended up, my protein ended up being high because I kept eating those yesterday. And I also had a ribeye. Like at the end of the day, I probably still could have done it, but I had a ribeye and a little bit of ribs. So a lot of times I will have the decaf with a couple of egg yolks mixed in it, early in the morning, or a can of sardines or oysters. I don't usually have the decaf and something else because it would just be too many calories that early in the morning. And then later on, I will have maybe 3 or 4 eggs, or I'll have 1 whole egg and like 4 or 5 yolks, which is really, really good, fried in like a tablespoon of butter. And then for lunch, I'll use the Egg Life wrap with some all natural ham or turkey, or ham and turkey meat, deli meat inside, with a little bit of avocado oil mayonnaise. And I'll usually have 2 of those. And sometimes I'll put a little bit of mustard on them, but I don't use a lot of condiments or a lot of seasonings. And then for dinner, typically either some chicken wings or a ribeye or a couple of hamburger patties with either butter or cheese on them. So it's quite a bit of food. It's quite a bit of protein. And the macros for a day like that would have been probably 70-30 on a day like that, like 70% fat. And I feel like at my age, the way I got off the initial 35 pounds was eating very high fat. So 85 to 90% fat. And I'm just having a hard time going back there. I mean, I want the weight off, but I'm really enjoying kind of rotating my macros. And one of the things that I need is some ribeye fat from the butcher in order to make those higher fat days happen, because I need to be eating something with fat instead of like doing a stick of butter a day along with my meat. Like I need something to eat that has that much fat in it. So I need to make a trip to the butcher and get some of that fat, because that really helps me get my fat higher. And then on a lower fat day, I'll do like I'm about to go down and fry some egg whites and some butter. And I like to get them like really good and crispy to make them, have more flavor. And so that helps me. And then the prime protein shakes help me to keep my protein up on those days too, when I need more protein.
And your calories you're trying to hit now?
So I think typically my TDEE, so would be like the amount of energy I burn every day would be about between 16 and 1700 calories, probably.
That's at rest, right?
That's at rest. That's right. And so, yeah, so what does that stand for again? It's your, daily energy expenditure, your total daily energy expenditure. And so, yeah, so that's like if you just kind of sit around all day or just do your normal daily activities, that's without exercise. And so that's where the problem comes in for me, is how much of those exercise calories do I need to eat back? Am I putting myself into starvation mode by not eating back those exercise calories? Plus there's the thermogenesis, where your body uses more calories to burn the fat and protein that you're eating versus somebody who eats a normal diet. And so am I putting my body into starvation mode by doing the 2 45-minute workouts a day for 75 hard and only eating 16 or 1700 calories? And I just don't know. The jury is still out. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where I need to be. So most days I'm doing between 16 and 1700 calories. Yesterday ended up being 22 or 2100 calories or something like that. And so I'm still kind of messing with it to kind of figure out that balance. I think the ideal thing would be to restrict a few days a week and then eat more a few days a week, and kind of do that zigzagging with the calories and the macros to keep my body guessing.
Yeah.
So the jury's still out, but I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think, it's good for somebody who's under eating, because that's a different problem. So it's good to track and figure out what's really going on.
Right.
Mine, it's such a weird thing because my issue is when I just only eat meat, even if it's chicken or fish or whatever, the weight will just drop off. The inflammation just drops off. But the moment I eat even egg whites, I mean, I think I should probably not eat that at all either. Or any dairy or any butter or anything that's not meat. I just like swell up, and it's like, this sucks, man. But
yeah, but you feel so good when you're doing it by the way but if you let your body lead you, you feel so much better. So it's kind of a trade-off, I think.
But it's like, you want to just live with other people and do,
Yeah.
it already
Right.
feels restrictive just to eat
Yeah.
a carnivore diet, but then what's on carnivore is not even agreeing with my body. It's a really,
Yeah.
you're just like, this is BS, man.
Yeah. I know.
But
I know.
like Michaela Peterson, maybe I'm like that,
Yeah.
I don't have all the symptoms she does, but mine is
Right.
just like swelling,
Yeah.
and weight gain. So, but I feel really good most of the
Yeah.
time, but it
Same.
just, of course, we'd all love to lose about 20 pounds, right?
Yeah. Right.
So,
Yeah. That's good.
um, tell us about, the benefits of beef tallow,
For your skin.
however you use
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, beef tallow is amazing. Beef tallow as a snack, if you can get used to the flavor, it really doesn't have much flavor at all. And I've experimented with sprinkling either regular salt and a little bit of pepper into it, or even adding like a smoked salt to it. And if you whip it, a lot of people can get it down better if you whip it versus just eating it like kind of greasy. It feels like whipped cream, but it doesn't taste like whipped cream. But that can help you get through it a little bit easier. So it's great as a snack and to get your fat up. And then I also sell whipped tallow lotions for your skin. So I have an anti-aging face cream that has lavender and blue tansy oils, essential oils in it that are really good for healing your skin and scars and acne and eczema and psoriasis and things like that. But tallow itself, even the unscented, is really good for those kinds of skin conditions. It can be used for diaper rash. It can be used for burns in the kitchen. It can be used for all sorts of things. So I have several different scents. I have Madagascar vanilla and I have green mandarin, which, I don't just choose the scents that I'm using in the lotions all willy-nilly, like, oh, well, people like lavender, so I'll use that, or people like the scent of orange, so I'll put orange in it. I choose the oils for a reason because they are good for your skin. A lot of people use orange oil in a lotion, and you have to be really careful with that because it can cause photosensitivity and cause you to get sunburn faster. And that's actually happened to me, so I'm really careful about that. And I won't use orange for a lotion that I think people are just going to put on their bodies and then go outside. So I use green mandarin because it comes from the mandarin orange before it's ripe and it actually doesn't cause
Oh,
photosensitivity. So I
wow.
have the green mandarin that smells just like orange. It's a great scent. They're all just very lightly scented because a lot of people buy my lotions because they want things that are natural and don't have a strong scent. You just kind of want a hint of it. So don't expect to get a lotion that's very strong. The harvest spice is probably the strongest scented one because it has cinnamon in it, which is kind of hard to mask. So that one smells like fall. And then, like I said, I have the unscented. And then I also have a tallow-based candle. It's just tallow and beeswax with a wooden wick that kind of makes a noise like a fireplace, while it's flickering. And then I also have lip balm and a night cream that has Roman chamomile, lavender, and frankincense in it. So really good for restoring and repairing your skin. And also a facial oil cleanser that you rub on your face and wipe it off rather than wash your face. So I have a lot of different things that I sell made out of the tallow. And it's become a big part of our life. I mean, it's just a nice little side hustle for me. It's been a lot of fun to make all these different kinds of lotions and things like that and see people react to them. And so yeah, so if you want some lotion, you can get it at purelytallow.com.
Awesome. That is a great idea. I mean, I feel like I got into essential oils about 10 years ago and
Uh-huh.
it really opened my eyes to all the shit that we're putting on our bodies. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, wow, and then of course I got more sensitive to synthetic smells and
Mhm.
like you can't go back. Once
Right.
you kind of open up your sinuses,
Yes.
you smell everything. You're like,
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like somebody bought a Glade thing and they had it in my Airbnb and I was like, what the,
Yeah, I know.
you
I
better
know
just
it's horrible.
take this
Walmart
crap
in
with
the
you. Don't put it in, don't leave it here.
Yeah. Going into a store like Walmart or Hobby Lobby or one of those places in the fall will kill me. Like there have been times where I go in to get two things and I come out with my eyes running because I'm like you. I started essential oils probably 12 years ago and I taught classes for a long time. I really believe there's a place for plants with medicine. It made a huge difference for us and our family. We've used them for things like bronchitis and ear infections and, all kinds of things. And so I think you can use that instead of traditional medicine. And so there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit, of that in a lotion, but I'm like you can't go back to using normal products after you have heard and read the things about how they affect you. And the other thing I meant to say about my lotions is I also use emu oil in some of them, which is really good for your skin, and camel hump fat
Oh,
is
wow.
also in some of the lotions, because I did lots of research to find out about, the different properties of the different, fats and things like that. So I wanted to bring as much healing as I could. And I even put goose fat in the lip balm because it's good at preventing and healing for cold sores. So, so I've done
Oh,
a lot of research on the different fats and what they've been used for, historically and things like that. So if you're looking to reduce toxins in your home, skincare is a great place to start. Food is huge, though. There are so many different things like laundry detergents, and like you said, the scented, plugins or the sprays or even dish detergent. Like if you can reduce your toxic load at all, it's going to change your life for sure.
absolutely. And it, messes with your hormones too. What is your
Yes.
take on some people think lavender messes with your hormones? Do you believe in
Um,
that, or do you think it's just overblown, or?
I think it would take massive amounts to have that problem. And there are different kinds of lavender. So I use doTERRA, and I did lots of research at the beginning because lots of people came to me with that concern. And there are certain, and I can't tell you off the top of my head, I haven't taught a class in a long time, but there are certain kinds of lavender that can cause problems. And the one that I use is one of the ones that does not and never has been said to cause issues like that. So,
Yeah, and I think also when that study that they always talk about, it's like they use lavender containing products. And it's like,
right.
what? You
What?
can't say that. I mean,
Right.
that is so
Yeah.
vague. And,
Mhm.
there's so much other stuff in
Yes.
products like, Nivea or Neutrogena
Yes.
or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
there's all this other stuff that causes
Right.
hormone disruption. So
Yeah. That's
I
right.
don't
Then they
know.
want to blame it on the lavender.
I don't, I
Yeah.
don't I don't go, I don't know. But yeah, it's like also, but I mean, just on that, I also try not to put it on my kid like every day. Cause I mean, he's a boy and like,
Right.
well, I mean, I minimize the use of lavender just
Yes.
in case,
Right.
I
Yeah. I
don't
get it.
avoid it altogether,
Right.
but I don't want to use it like too much, that's,
Right.
I guess, is
Yeah.
what
I
my
understand that.
approach would be just
Yeah.
in case, because I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't really believe that study that because it's not very clear. It's just like saying, well,
Agreed.
what causes heart disease is people who eating, fried chicken sandwich and, and then they're smoking a pack a day and they're
Right.
drinking Johnny
Yeah.
Walker and then they're like, it was the hamburger that I had 12 years ago,
Right. Yeah.
So
They want to blame it all on that. When they use stuff for the studies like that, they'll
yeah.
say, people who eat a meat-based diet, but the meat is, the pepperoni on pizza or the little bit of the hamburger that's on the bun of the quarter pounder they ate with fries and a milkshake. Like that's the
And
meat they use for
and
those
the
studies. That
Big
is not,
Mac sauce and the
that is not a meat-based diet.
yeah, and then changing it from the beef tallow to the polyunsaturated soybean
That's right.
oils and
Mhm.
everything. I mean, just that one thing, I think, is the biggest change. If you look at from 150 years ago to now, it's like
Yeah.
just that one thing could do it to all of us, like to make us obese and
Yeah.
have heart
Sick.
disease and all that, because that's such a huge
Yeah.
change.
It is huge.
So anyway, well, do you want to just give a little tiny pep talk to people who might be considering the carnivore diet?
Yeah, I think for those of you that are lost, you feel like you have literally tried everything to get better, to lose weight, to feel better, to not be depressed, to not be sad, to not have the autoimmune diseases that you have, and you feel like you've tried everything. I think why not try the carnivore diet? It's certainly not going to hurt you to try it for 30 days. You're not questioning when you stop at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks and get one of their, lattes or cappuccinos. You don't question what's in that. You don't question when you run through McDonald's and get a quick hamburger because you're on your way somewhere. You don't question that. You don't question your Diet Coke. You don't question your regular Coke. You don't question the toast you ate for breakfast or the cereal. You don't question the things that you eat on a normal basis. But as soon as we pull out the carnivore diet and say, put this in your toolbox and try it, people want to see the studies. And to me, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, right? I mean, you have so many people here on the internet, do some research. You'll find people saying this healed me of this fixed that, this, made me so I could leave my house again. This fixed, my child's autism and made them, a little bit better. Like you hear all of these amazing stories about the carnivore diet, Caitlin's story, my story, you hear these things and you're just going to blow it off. But if somebody came to you, with a milkshake from McDonald's and said, here, taste this, you're going to taste it, right? But you won't taste the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet is amazing. And doing it for 30 days just might change your life in a good way. And it might make you do it for longer, like Caitlin. Like most people say they'll start with 30 days and then stick with it for a lot longer. And so it's certainly not going to hurt you to try it. And so that would be my advice, is to just try it. Don't question it. Just try it. Do some research while you're doing it. Listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos in your free time, hear the encouraging stories. But like Caitlin said, within 24 hours, the bloat, was gone. And that's amazing. So just give it a try. I think you'll be really amazed and see a lot of people lose 10 pounds the first week. Some of it's water, but a lot of it's bloat and a lot of it's inflammation that you're going to lose. And so don't let people say, oh, you just lose water weight, or have you done research on that? Just give it a try. It's certainly not going to hurt you for 30 days.
Great idea. Great advice. So where can everybody follow and find your information?
So I'm on Instagram as serena.carnivore, and then you can find me on YouTube at Carnivore Revolution. And then also my tallow is available at purelytallow.com.
Awesome. It's been great talking to you today, and I really appreciate you coming on my channel. And everybody go follow Serena. I really appreciate it. Share this with a friend, subscribe, leave a thumbs up. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.